Welcome back, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, guys, I arrived Canada in April 2023, and everybody who has been my friend, who has been informing me about things here, has been telling me one thing. Tommy, buy your tomatoes, buy your pepper before summer ends because you don't want to be caught without having these because it gets very expensive later on in the year. It gets very expensive in the winter and you should have enough to last you for the year. Guys, I heeded their advice and I bought about 10 cases of both tomatoes and pepper in all. So I have about 5 cases of tomato, I have about 5 cases of pepper, what they call shepherd pepper over here. In my place where I come from, we know it as tatache or paprika. But over here in Canada, they call it shepherd pepper. Those long, very big peppers, not the very spicy one. I love it because you can use it for stew. Even without having tomatoes, I like the pepper on its own. I love it so much. It's red, it's thick, and it gives everything it should give. So guys, I started the prep for this thing. I did not know there was going to be a very big job to do. The tomatoes, I bought it over like 3 weeks ago. As at the time of doing this video, these tomatoes had been sitting in my basement for about 3 weeks or more because I bought the tomatoes immediately I saw them in the grocery store. These tomatoes per case, as I when I bought it, it was 8.99 or 9.99. Sorry, 9, let's just say $10 on the average. So they usually put it as $9.99, but let's just say it is like either $9 or $10. I bought like 5, like I said. Some I got for like $9, some I got for $10. You can see how bad you were getting. Irony is that the ones I bought later are the ones that are getting bad or that got bad. The ones I bought first were still very fresh and okay. Guys, I started this journey, or I started this thing like very late in the night. I just heard my baby crying upstairs. I quickly had to go and carry her so that she could go back to sleep again. As I now my back was paining me, I was so tired. I was like, I beg, who sent me work? Like only me. If I was in Lagos, I'd have definitely had some help, as in like people helping me, probably one person or the other. I had help back home. That's just it. But over here, I'm the only one seeing myself. I'm thankful my mom is with me. She's been helping me with the kids. And in moments like this, I'm grateful for the help because she helps me with the kids while I do some other things. But ironically, she was also traveling back tomorrow, as in the next day. So she had a lot of things to do as well. So long story cut short, I had to go and carry my daughter. She was sleeping and we continued the journey of me checking out the tomatoes. So what I was doing basically is sorting out the very strong ones and the ones that were already like getting spoiled. I cut off the spoiled part and I'm going to be blending that one. So I have like still fresh tomatoes. I sorted it out like so that I will still have like some very nice good ones. These ones on the right are still very good and strong, like it can still last for a long time. So I separated everything. Then the ones that are soft, mushy, the ones that I'm not like liking like that, I cut off all the bad parts, like the top of the tomato. I like cutting off the head of the tomato. I cut everything off, and those are the ones I'm going to be blending. So that is how I separated the tomato to start with. So you're going to be seeing how I actually like sorted out all my tomatoes and my pepper. So like I said, first off, I separated the very hard ones, strong ones. All these ones on the right are strong. I won't be blending these ones. These ones I'm going to be storing them up in my deep freezer, and I'm going to be taking it out later in the year. So I'm going to be blending some parts. Hopefully when I'm done with the blended ones, I'll now pounce on these ones that have been in the deep freezer. So I sorted everything out. I started with the pepper as well. Thankfully I felt my daughter was good enough to go to sleep on her own again, and I took her upstairs to go sleep whilst I continued my job. This was like far into the night, and at some point my mom had to come to ask me that, won't you stop this thing? But I was like, let me just continue going. If I leave it, I will still come back to meet this work. So the earlier the better I start or I finish doing everything. So I started with the pepper as well. These are the shepherd peppers. I think I got a box of red sweet bell pepper as well. It's almost the same thing, but I like the shepherd peppers. So for the peppers, one thing I like to do is to remove all the seeds. I de-seeded everything. Like I removed all the seeds. And that's how I prefer to store it. This was when my mom came to ask me that I should just stop doing everything I was doing. She was like, that is okay now. Just come to bed. And I was like, Mommy, let me just continue doing it. Hopefully when I get to a point point, I would clear up everything and then I will come sleep and I'll continue later. So back to what I was explaining. So my shepherd peppers are ready. I sorted everything out like this. Look at the strong tomatoes, look at the shepherd peppers. So I just didn't put everything into the freezer like that. I removed all the seeds, all the heads, and I started putting them into a big bag, like this white big bag. I bought the bag from the dollar store, Dollar Tree. Yes, I bought it from Dollar Tree. So you can get it like in Dollar Tree and all that. So I just like separated it into these big bags. I didn't bother like batching this one small. I just felt like let everything just go together. Guys, I was informed I had to buy a smaller freezer for this. Most people tell me that you need to have like at least 1 or 2 freezers. I had bought the bigger one on the right before as I landed Canada. Like the week I landed, I bought this very big freezer, but I had to buy the second one so that it can store my pepper, and everything in that freezer is all pepper. I came back the next day. This is the next morning, and I had to start with the onions. These onions, I am someone that I can't stand the onions thing at all. So I bought this goggles, not Google, goggles, yeah, onion goggles from AliExpress. It's specifically for onions, and it actually helps. It doesn't help like 100%. Let me just say 80%, and that is good enough. You might still feel the sting a little bit, but overall you won't feel it too much. So I did my onions and everything. I prepped everything because I am ready to start blending. So the previous night I had separated all the tomatoes, all the peppers. I had deseeded everything. I had cleaned everything. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I also like soaked them in the vinegar bath before I started like deseeding and washing and all that, and everything had been prepped. So prepping took a long time. It took me about 4 hours the night before. 4 hours of like not saying I was resting, no, 4 hours of just like back to back, go and eat, come back and all that. Everything took me about 4 hours like to prep everything. I have this blender. This blender is so beautiful because it saved me a lot. So what I did was I added like tomato first, onions, and then the pepper. So your water content comes at the bottom of the blender. It helps to like blend everything well. So I don't add water at all. Recently, I don't add water to my tomato and my pepper. Everything I am blending, I don't add water because you have to start cooking it all over again, and I don't have time for that. So I blended everything, and I was just like mixing everything into this big bowl. This took about 2 large bowls, like this plastic. I don't know how to describe it to you guys, but if you know, if you can just estimate it in your head, it is big. It is very big. So I just kept on blending. This blending took another like almost 2 hours, guys. I did not know what I was getting into, but one thing I just kept at the back of my mind was that I won't be doing this for the rest of the year. Let me just say I'm prepping for the year, so of course it's worth it, right? So the next thing I started doing was to start scooping them into Ziploc bags, and I scooped it like in batches, big one, small one, medium, like that, so like in different sizes rather. So the next thing I'm doing is to also use my processor to like process some of these peppers. So for this one, I'm not using tomato, I'm using only the shepherd pepper and some onions. This is like rough pepper, like if you want to have pepper for yam, for rice, not the very smooth one. So I like having my pepper in either like smooth, like very smooth for just stew. But if I want to do like a sauce, I want to fry eggs, I want to do like all this like ayamase sauce or further sauce, I like that rough mix. So I also did this in like for the green one. So I bought green bell peppers as well. I processed it as well, and that's how I achieved that. So look at the rough peppers here. So I had already put everything into the Ziploc bags. I forgot to add that I also put some Scotch bonnet peppers. Those ones are very hot, so I used a few. In all, I think I used like about 10 Scotch bonnet peppers for everything I blended. Peppers abroad are very, very hot, like we all know, so you have to use a little bit. And most times people in my house do not take a lot of like chili and very peppery stuff, so I have to be watchful. Sometimes, if at all, sometimes I don't even put any Scotch bonnet or anything like that. It's usually fine. So guys, at this point my back, but I just kept on going. Like this was early in the morning. I did not know I was going to continue working all through the day. This uniform or this cloth I'm wearing was official uniform for pepper sorting. So I had been putting them into my freezer. I started putting the remaining. I had bagged everything into my Ziploc, the fresh one, the blended, the well blended smooth one, and the rough one as well. So I had everything. I didn't bother labeling them because I know the date I did everything. I don't think I'll be doing any more at any time. So I didn't bother labeling it, like putting dates or something. But in my head, at least I know I have those videos to go back to in case I need to remember the date I did it. So this was early September anyway. I think I did this like on the 1st of September or the 2nd of September or so. Yeah. So I have that there, and oh, I'm so glad I bought this deep freezer. Like most people told me one deep freezer might not be enough for you. You might need to get another one for solely pepper. I have to take the other bag to my other deep freezer, and I'm so glad because it was as if I even measured everything. Everything now came all together, and it was just like perfect the way I wanted it. Guys, I went back. I had to. It was already evening at this point. I had to quickly make like some coconut jollof rice for the kids. They were already telling me they were hungry. I just saved some of the pepper mix I made, and I just quickly made some jollof rice for them, some coconut jollof rice. By the time I finished, I had to continue working. This was everything. I had done everything. I had finished everything. But of course, cleaning up is still there. At this point, I was like, oh my God. My back was aching me. I was tired, but I had to keep on going. I was almost done by this point. I made some buns too. My mom loves these buns. It's chocolate buns. I'll be dropping a recipe for this on my Instagram page. So please follow me on Instagram if you are not following me already. And then I also remember that I put some of these fresh ones. I also put them in my fridge. It can last for 6 weeks to like 2 months. So just in case I need like fresh tomatoes for something, for eggs or any other thing like that, I can easily remove that from the fridge. So I usually put that in the vegetable section, that humid part of the fridge. You can easily put things there. I put carrots there, I put cabbage there, and it still comes out as fresh. It's still very good. So that is there. Now back to cleaning and like cleaning the kitchen and everything. I had to clean everything. I was already thinking of waiting, but I was like, the moment I go and sit down, I won't want to stand again to do all these things. The only thing that frustrated me was that these bowls were so big and it was like taking a lot of space in the sink. Usually if I was in Lagos, I like the fact that in Lagos, houses in Lagos, or let me just say my house in Lagos, we have like taps outside. This kind of thing, nobody would even, I don't even care. I'll just carry it outside. Like I like convenience. I like where there's space. So I'd rather watch this outside. I don't know if this is only me. This was how I grew up anyway. Like growing up as a kid, my parents like that kind of thing, that you have taps outside the house, functional taps, so that in case you want to do like very major work, cooking and all that, you have something like that. But this is the abroad. There's no tap in your compound. There's no tap outside. That was one thing I was like, oh my God. But in that way, I made it work. So I have to start cleaning everywhere the pepper splash. It splashed everywhere, like from one thing or the other. You know, from me pouring in the blender, as in there were stains and all that. So I had to clean all the cabinets. I had to clean the walls. I had to clean the countertop and everything. This was what I was doing after cleaning up, after washing everything. The the cooker basically, or the stove, everything was like cleaned. And finally, guys, finally, the kitchen was all set again. I was so glad I was able to finish up. So that is how I prepped my stuff, and I was just done for the day. I was like, okay, this is it. We are going to bed. Thank God for everything. So good night, guys, and thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in subsequent ones. Bye, loves.